Hey y'all. Woo, feel good Friday. Had to get my Starbucks. Feel good Friday, people. How y'all doing? I hope y'all feeling good. We're in the car today. We're gonna do our blueprint tips from the car today. Running errands. But this is the beauty of being an entrepreneur. So I want to tell you guys some things that I found out, right? You guys are going to be so excited to learn these few things that I found out, because they are definitely secrets, especially when going into contracting. I was always one, I'm going to just be honest, I don't want the pennies, I want the dollars. So show me how to get to the dollars. And I felt like leaving the world as a subcontractor was definitely going to be able to get me there. So I had to figure out how to do that. Oh no. Okay, hold on, because this ain't our car. So I gotta figure out how this cup holder thing going and everything. Okay. Hey y'all. Oh, forget it, I'll just hold the phone. Okay, so getting back into it, let's get to chatting about these secrets and moving from being a subcontractor to a prime contractor. So you want to be prime on a contract, right? But I would say that it is best to be a subcontractor first. And I would say that it's best to be a subcontractor first, because then you get to learn the ropes and you get to learn the details of what the actual project entails, because you are the one that's out there really doing it firsthand. The primes are really not the ones that's out there doing it. The subcontractors is mainly the ones that's out there doing the work, period. So since they're the ones that's out there doing the work, then they are the ones that can best troubleshoot and come up with different methods and modalities to get the job done a little bit smoother, if that's people's choice. My choice is to work smart, not hard. So I always go in and my job is to perfect whatever it is that I'm working on at that particular time, and of course make it easier for myself. And I will hope that yours will kind of be the same, because we don't want to work hard. We want to work smart. And then that leaves us more time with our families and just to do some things that it is that we want to do, right? So we have more free time because we perfected, our job, right? So now we've perfected this project, and now it's time for us to move. Like we feel like we can do this, like especially with transportation, it's so easy. We feel like we can do this. We feel like we could be a prime, right? We've got all the ropes. We figured everything out. We've taken the classes and everything like that. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Like and share, please. And you figured out, hey, I can do this, right? It's time for me to start applying for some contracts, because I'm tired of these pennies. So I want to start applying for contracts. Where do I go? What do I do? So my biggest hurdle, and one of the secrets that I want to share, was learning how to do proposals, even learning what a proposal was, right? Everybody that I asked was like, oh yeah, I don't know. I don't know about a proposal or anything like that. And like I shared with you guys before, I had a whole friend that works in the world of RFPs. This was their job and they didn't share it. So I know that it's difficult to get this information because people feel like, oh, they're going to be competing against me. But man, the best man win. I mean, if I can, perform on this project, then why shouldn't I bid on it? All right, so RFPs. Let's talk about these blueprint tips. Let's get into these blueprint tips for today. And the first one is RFP, request for a proposal. And the top secret is to check the due date. Check the due date. This is essential, because you could be looking at a project and they changed the due date on you, or they've decided not to move forward with the bid anymore, so they've taken it down, or they're going to postpone it. They're going to wait another month, and then they'll come back around and they'll put it back up. It's always essential to check the due date. I always check the due date first, because then at that point it tells me how much time I have to even try to prepare a proposal. If it's less than a week, I would say don't even do it to yourself, especially if you're new in this game. I would say at least give yourself at least 6 to 8 weeks if you can, when you're getting ready to prepare your proposal, because it's like a book report, and you want to make sure that everything is all the questions are being answered that's there. And you also want to make sure that you have an extra set of eyes look at it after you, because it's always some things that you may miss but another set of eyes will not. So I would say when you're doing your proposals and you're bidding on these contracts, just to make sure that you have an additional person read it over before you go ahead and submit. All right, so that's how we're gonna go from the pennies to the dollars. We want contracts. We want to be prime contractor. We're tired of being subcontractors. We've done this work. We understand what it entails. We know everything that goes into it. We just want to move from subcontractor to contracts. We want to be prime, from the pennies to the dollars. All right, so after you check that due date, you also want to make sure that there are no addendums to the proposal, because if there's an addendum, you want to make sure that's a change. You want to make sure that you are aware of what the change is, so that you can maneuver if you need to in your proposal. You may not need to with the addendum, but you do have to acknowledge the addendum, and the addendum does have to be signed off on, and it does have to go with your proposal. So that's huge. If there's a change to the proposal, then that addendum has to be acknowledged, and it has to be signed and added with your proposal. So that's something big as well. I know that I literally cried one day. I bidded on a contract a couple of years ago in Rockford, and I missed one part, and it had to do with the addendum, and that was the only part, and I had worked on it, and I was like, I just literally just like, after I figured out, I'm like, I missed that one small thing, and that was the basis of losing the contract. It was like, you don't submit it, it's like, if you don't have it in time, they're not taking it. They don't care what's going on. If you don't make that deadline, they're not taking your proposal. So I missed that aspect of it, and I cried, and my husband told me, he was like, it's okay, it'll be others. But it was just the fact that I worked on it so long, and you put so much into it, that it's like, you count it, you know what I mean? You want it, you know what I mean? So that's a big one that I would say, just to make sure that you are paying attention to the due date and the addendums that go along with it. All right, so our next blueprint tip, our next one, when we're looking at these RFPs and we're trying to figure out if this is something that we can do, and we want to be prime, we want to look at the scope of work. So I know this RFP can probably be 100 pages. It could probably be 200 pages. I have seen some lengthy RFPs. Oh my God. And it don't need to be that way. But if you see a lengthy RFP, the first thing, check that due date. Make sure you can meet those demands in submitting your proposal. And 2, check the scope of work. I know some people will probably say check the scope of work first. I will not check the scope of work first. I'm checking the due date, because then that tells me how much time I have. Regardless if I can do this job or not, I need to know whether or not I have enough time to submit, because I'm not going to drive myself crazy, because my husband and I have been up really late trying to submit proposals, just making sure that we have everything in, and it's very tiring. So I would say allow yourself enough time to go ahead and submit on these projects. There are several. If you miss one, please do not feel like I missed out on the world, because I have felt that way before. You did not miss out. There are so many more proposals, and it's so much work in transportation, and it's so much work in your field, not just transportation. It's so many projects that could be bid on in other fields. So don't just think that it's only available in the transportation world, although it is a $1 trillion industry, and I would suggest anybody get into it. But there are bids for every single category that's in the world. Okay. All right, so tip number 2, scope of work. Let's talk about the scope of work. If you can do the job, bid on it. If you can meet all the requirements that are there, I say bid. Figure it out, print it off. At that point, now I can do the scope, I know I can do the job. I know I can do the job. I know I can meet the deadline to submit on this proposal. I'm submitting. Let's go. I'm giving myself 6 to 8 weeks because it's just like a book report. It's like a 10-page paper. So give yourself enough time. Allow yourself enough time because you want to make sure that you are meeting all the qualifications and all the requirements that's listed in the RFP. All right, tip number 3. Tip number 3. And then we'll have a replay for you guys too. This is really good information. I wish that it was somebody out here to share this type of information with me. It was not. I had to figure it out on my own. And don't nobody want to tell you nothing. So, but it's okay because I'm here. I'm sharing everything that I know. No gatekept information here. All right, so tip number 3. Technical and cost proposals. All right, so a technical proposal is essential. It is basically an outline of what it is that they're looking for. You're going to give a technical proposal back. Basically, that's just like your book report. You just answering the questions that have to do with the project. Now, after you do your technical proposal and you answer all the questions that they've asked there, right? And you put your own little sauce on there too to talk about your business or your organization. After you do that, then there's a cost proposal. The cost proposal is different. And many people struggle with this one because what do I charge, right? How do I know? How do I know if I'm going too low? How do I know if I'm going too high? Secret. I got a secret and I'll share it with you guys. It is called bid tabulations. Yes, I'm dropping it all. Bid tabulations. If you review the bid tabulations, then that will tell you the last person that was awarded this project and how much they were awarded. Now, I would say, I'm going to be honest with you, bid the same thing that they bid it because they are going to bid the same thing that they bid it last year and they are going to be the ones that win that. So you want to be as competitive as possible with the cost proposal. Now, if you feel like it's something that you can't do, then don't do it. But I'm telling you to not go over. They're always looking at someone to kind of stay like right around that same mark. And then when you get it, I'm going to just tell you, renegotiate it. If you feel as though, hey, you miscalculated, you can always go back to the table and let them know. It's nothing wrong with that. That's another secret that they're not going to tell you. But you can definitely go back. You go back with a proposal. You be reasonable and you let them know, hey, according to X, Y, and Z, you lay it out for them. And they won't have a problem with going back to the drawing board and getting you more finances or more dollars. If it's presented in the right, form or what have you. So we got 3 blueprint tips for you guys. I am definitely going to make sure I post this video on YouTube for you guys. And I just wanted to come on and share them with you guys. And we also, if you are a member in the membership hub, then we have sample proposals for you guys that's there. But you have to be a member where you don't have to go crazy and like, oh my God, where do I start? We've even paid people to do proposals for us. And when we got them back, you definitely can rinse and reuse. But when we've gotten them back, we've seen that we weren't that far off. Oh, excuse me. We've seen that we weren't that far off from them and how they did their reports and their proposals versus how we did our proposals. So I think it's just really understanding, but as long as you're following all the guidelines that's within the proposal, then you're okay. But those are some tips that you should look for first when you decide that, hey, I want to move from a subcontractor to be a prime contractor. These are things that you want to look at. You're going to have to start looking at the RFPs in your field. And when you start looking at them, you definitely want to look at the due date first to make sure that you can do it. Make sure it has no addendums. Those are changes to the proposal. And then number 2, you want to make sure that you are checking the scope of work so that you can make sure that you can do the work. And then the technical and cost proposals. And again, if you are a member in our membership hub, we have technical proposals, we have cost proposal samples for you guys, but you have to be a member in the membership hub. And again, we're going to post this video for you guys, but don't forget to like, share, comment, and we'll see you guys back here next Friday for Feel Good Friday. And we hope you guys had a very, very Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. See you guys very soon. Bye.